All right, so next question. In this question, we're gonna, no matter what, understand the goal. Like, what do we want before we get into everything else? So here it says, what is the ratio of boxes to carts? Okay, cool. So again, ratio of boxes to carts, that is the end goal. So when I write this out, I'm gonna say boxes and then carts. So here's the problem. Here's the problem. The problem is, well, the ratio that we're given is the ratio of boxes to shelves first. That's a little bit of an issue. Right here, boxes to shelves, 3 to 8. So I'll write boxes to shelves. That's going to be 3 to 8. And then over here in blue, I'm going to see that the ratio of shelves to carts, like this, is 12 to 5. So if we want to know the ratio of boxes to carts, everybody, if we wanted to know that ratio and all we were going to do about it is just overlap these, you might be convinced that the answer is 3 to 5, but that's not the case. It's not the case because, everybody, the middleman, to be able to make that kind of jump to just compare and overlap two ratios, the only way you can overlap ratios is if the middleman is the same value. Everybody, that's not the case here. We don't have the same value. This is 8 for shelves. This is 12 for shelves. We got to get the same number. What can that number be? What can both 8 and 12 multiply up to get that comparison going? Yeah, they can both multiply up to 24. Think about it. 8 times 3, that's 24. 12 times 2, that's 24. So boom, we have the number we can get up to such that we can do that overlap. So when we get this going, all we have to do over here, let me just move this up. We're going to have 8 multiplied by 3, and we'll multiply everything else by 3 to give us 9 to 24. And then over here, we'll multiply by 2 on the left and the right to get 24 and 10. So now we have boxes to shelves being 9 to 24. And then we have shelves and carts being 24 to 10. Now that we have this going, guess what we can do now? We can absolutely overlap this because it's going to be 24 for sure. Look at that, nice and clean. And now we can make that proper comparison between boxes, which is 9, and carts, which is 10. So there's our ratio, 9 to 10. And that's why the correct answer for this problem here is answer choice A, 9 to 10. All right, next question up here. So we're going to take care of this in the same way per usual. We're going to understand what the goal is first. So the goal here is, how many girls are there? Okay, so we want to quantify the number of girls in this scenario. So I'm going to highlight that. We want to know the number of girls. So I'll just write that. All right, perfect. Now I'm going to read through the information, and it's going to say, in a class, boys to girls are in a ratio of 4 to 6. Okay? And then it says there are 14 boys. How many girls? So the 14 boys that we see there, we can actually write that right over here. So we can say blank girls, 14 boys, because that's the actual number of boys, and we want to know the actual number of girls. So right there, girls to boys. Then we see this ratio written as 4 to 6, but be very careful because we don't want to get confused. I could absolutely just go ahead and ignore all caution and say 4 here, 6 there. But because of the way the ratio is written, we have to respect it. Boys is written first. That means that boys corresponds with 4. So I must write the 4 down here for the ratio for boys, and then 6 for the girls right there. So once we have this, this is where we can set up our proportion. As long as we compare the same things in the same way, we're fine. Easiest way to do that is just to write your variable and then put fraction equals fraction. X over 6 equals 14 over 4. That's how a proportion is done. Again, just write those fractions and set them equal to each other and you're done. You just have to make sure first that you're comparing the same things in the same way. Girls to boys, all good to go. Now that we're here, we have x over 6 equals 14 over 4. And what I must do is cross multiply and divide, or I can simplify first. Everyone, if I chose to simplify first, what goes into both 14 and 4 that I can divide out? What goes into 14 and 4 that I can divide out here? Yeah, they're even numbers. We can go with 2. So I'll divide 2 out of the numerator and the denominator, because once I do that, I have a simpler, easier fraction to deal with. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now, when I cross multiply and divide, look at how easy this can be. I'll do x multiplied by 2, which is 2x, and then 6 multiplied by 7, which is 42. Now that we're here, we can finalize this by dividing both sides by 2 to get the x by itself, and that'll give us x equals 21. And there we go. There's our correct answer. The number of girls is 21, and the correct answer is C. In this next problem, what we'll do first, as always, we'll read that question sentence, but let's really pick apart what we are given. If there are 16 managers, how many workers are there in total? Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to read that again, and it says 16 managers. I'm not really hung up on the 16. I really care about the managers part. So let's write that down. And then up next, I noticed that we are looking for how many workers. So right there, I am looking for workers in total. Again, keyword right there. I'll just say 16 managers to blank total workers. So what I'll do next is I will look at the first sentence and see, do I have that same comparison? Do I have the comparison of managers to total? And if not, what do I need to do to get that comparison? Luckily, when we take a look at the first sentence, we're given in a workplace, the ratio of managers to total is 4 to 19. Again, one more time. Look at the coincidence. Managers to total, managers total. My party people, quick question. Do we have to do any more work to figure out anything that's needed before we calculate? Do we need to do any other work? No, we don't. We're good. We're actually very good because managers is 4. And then total is 19, the second value listed. We have everything we need. We're good. We're comparing the same things in the same way. So what we can do is simply solve. We'll have T for total. So we'll plug 16 over T, managers over total, equals 4 over 19, managers over total. Booyah, we're good. So from here, we can cross multiply and divide, but I would really seriously advise against that because when you take a look, 4 times T, yeah, that's 4T, that's good and all. But does anybody here really want to do 16 times 19 by hand? Anybody? Any votes? Any volunteers? Nah, I don't like to do that. Not me. Nope, not today. So in lieu of not wanting to do that long arithmetic, we'll notice that, hey, if I'm trying to get to T, I can try to go from top to bottom, which 4 doesn't really go into 19 cleanly. But I could try right to left. Guess what? 4 to 16, that's times 4. So 19 times 4, let's see what that is. And we're done. 9 times 4 is 36, carry the 3. 1 times 4 is 4, carry the 3 is 7. And that is 76. That is 76 total employees or workers. And that is answer choice C. Booyah. There we go.